It is me, Marmalade, and welcome back to another glorious episode of Behind the Seams. It's episode 4, and we are on to the Night of 1,000 runway. They usually do this runway like once a season. It's a fun runway, but it's a difficult runway because the question is, do you do an exact recreation that maybe lacks your own original flair? Or do you do your own interpretation and risk straying too far from what you're meant to be referencing? On our season, we had Night of 1,000 Princess Dianas, and to be honest, I was not excited about that runway. Of all the runways I wanted to do on Drag Race, Night of 1,000 White Woman Evening Wear was not my choice. I decided to go for a very on-the-nose interpretation that was dragged up. I remember Lil went for a slightly more like abstract punky version, so there's all different ways to do it. So I'm excited to see how the girls do it. But without further ado, I think we should get started. My name is Marmalade, this is RuPaul's Drag Race UK Series 7, Episode 4, and come with me as I take you behind the seams. Okay, so with Ab Fab, I think there are like 4 main characters you can really go for. There's Patsy, who's more of like a high fashion businesswoman aesthetic. Then you have Eddie, who's more of like groovy, earthy 70s type of vibe. Then there is Bubble, who is more eccentric and camp. And then you have Saffron, who is more of like a nerdy, demure type. So 4 very different characters to reference. And I'm excited to see what the girls do. So starting off, we have Bones, and of course Bones has gone with Patsy. For this, I am going to try and look at their reference images just because you don't get to see them on the show. But with Bones, I don't think there's an exact reference image she's going for. I think it's more of her general aesthetic. And Bones' concept, I will say, is very, very clever. She's gone for this sort of like cigarette dress. I like that it's not a literal camp costume interpretation of like a cigarette. I like how she has worked it into a more chic, real world wearable silhouette that Patsy might actually wear. Like, for example, I enjoyed that she's done the Patsy hair. She hasn't been tempted to make her hair look like the top of a cigarette, for example. I'm having a slight issue with maybe how the dress is constructed. The fabric, I can tell, feels quite thin. You can quite easily make out like the line of her corset underneath, which as a drag queen is very difficult to hide. Trust me, I know. I just think a bit more interfacing and lining in the dress would have smoothed that out and covered that. I appreciate how the pattern is done to represent the cigarette. The struggle I'm having is like the proportions of it. I get it's meant to be a cigarette that's like been burnt down, but the way the bottom part is cutting across just below her hip feels slightly awkward. And then the length of the dress itself, I feel like I almost want it a couple inches shorter or all the way column to the floor. But this sort of lower shin length is just a bit odd. Because the dress, I don't think, has been interfaced or lined, it sort of loses its structure towards the bottom of the dress. I like the neckline, it's really elegant. I guess the struggle I'm having there is it doesn't feel substantial enough for the rhinestoning and the shading to really convey from a distance that it's meant to look like a cigarette. It kind of looks a bit flat in comparison to everything else. It either needed like bigger stones or more airbrushing, or it needed to come further down the top of the dress to really convey that that was the sort of the embers. So I really like the concept. I like how she's thought about it. I just wish the execution could have been brought up to really convey that it was a cigarette. Oh, I love the hair, and I love the surprise of the cigarette coming out the top. It's really clear she has a vision with all of her drag, and that's the main thing I really look out for. Compared to how she has executed some of her other outfits, this just isn't up to par. But I still enjoy it. And Bones is wearing Malon fashion. Next up we have Paige, and Paige has also come as Patsy, this time made by Joshua Hansler, and she has gone for Patsy's ski resort look. And this reference I really love. It's really fashionable, it's really chic. So it was a really nice surprise seeing Paige come out in this. Again, Paige making surprising decisions, camp decisions, but really fashionable decisions. So overall, I really loved it. I do wish when she'd walked out, she had the hood already up, just because it's so big and large. When it was down, you could sort of see it bouncing behind her, and it just made me confused why she had such a big hood. Obviously, when she raised it, it made sense, but just for that first part, I didn't quite understand it. The cut on the bodysuit is correct. It fits her very nicely. I do wish she had just done a full ski suit. I think the bottom of this outfit, it's just a little bit expected as far as a drag costume, but just thinking, had she like done a full on like ski suit to the floor, really pulled in at the waist, maybe like padded out the legs, padded out the arms and the shoulders, it would have been a really covered up look, which would have been a surprise, but I think it still would have been elevated and sexy and curvaceous. I think that would have been maybe a more interesting and unexpected approach. I don't know how she's found it, but she's found like a pattern that is very similar to the original, and I enjoy that pattern. It does really feel like it's harking back to that like ab fab era, and I really enjoy that as well. I love the hair. I love the glasses just sitting like 2 inches off her head in the hair. I think that is fab. And I even really enjoyed the cigarettes. It was a really nice harken back to the story of ab fab. So again, another good week from Paige. I'm waiting for her to do really rubbish on the runway. It hasn't happened yet. But yes, I really enjoy this. So next up we have Elle, and Elle is wearing Lily Bailey Studios, Kit Bash Studios, and illustrations by Funky Doodles. So Elle has gone for Bubble, which I think is a very smart choice. It is definitely the choice I would have gone with, because there's just so much to play with. And she's gone with a reference from the Ab Fab movie. Now, I've not actually seen the Ab Fab movie, so I wasn't actually familiar with this reference when it came out. But when I went and researched it and found it, I really enjoyed the original outfit, and I thought it was a really fun, smart way to go. It's an outfit that can very easily translate into drag campness. So I thought that was very smart. I think the illustrations have been done beautifully. I love the glasses. I love that it sits as a necklace, just like the movie. I love the styling of the bracelets. That felt very indicative of Eddie. I like that she's taken the wig and she's oomphed it up like ×3. I think that was very fun and very drag. I'd have just cut an inch off of it just because it was sort of hitting the shoulder slightly funny, and so that it was more of a bob, and especially given the size of it, I think that would have been hilarious. But overall, I enjoy this. But I'm going to say it because I said it last week. Again, it's another outfit that does not show Elle's form. I think this is the 4th outfit from her that we've had that we've really not got to see her shape. And I don't say that because I need her to be super cinched, corseted and padded. That's not it at all. I just want to see more things that are like form-fitted, so I can really see how she works with structure. Because the silhouette of this outfit, while it works and it's accurate to the film, it's just a little bit simple. A lot of her outfits have been these rectangular shapes. And looking at the original reference image, I just feel like if you had taken that as a reference, created an outfit with more structure, more dimension, more shape, these facial features could sit on like a 3D form. I just think that would have been so much more interesting than just doing it as a printed caftan. So I enjoy it. I do enjoy it. It's very draggy. It's fun. The proportions are great. I just wish I could see some more different shapes and silhouettes from Elle, but I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it. So next up we have Selexa Diction, and Selexa has gone for a very classic Patsy reference. I don't have a specific reference image for this one, but I don't think there is a specific outfit she's referencing, more so the vibe of Patsy. Straight off the bat, what I like about this is that I like that she's not wearing a gigantic breastplate. That's wonderful, there's absolutely a place for it, but it's just a different silhouette for her, and I feel like I'm looking at her now and I'm really appreciating her form in a way that I haven't before. It's clearly a very classic Mugler shape, which I do get slightly tired of Mugler being referenced on Drag Race. However, for Patsy it does make sense. I think the proportions are all incredible. The length of the skirt is great. The way it comes in at the waist, the shape of the chest is great. She did say online this was a very last minute outfit, and there are some fit issues I'm seeing around sort of the shoulders. They seem to have like wilted a little bit, and the length of the sleeve is a little bit too short for her. But aside from that, the construction on this is beautiful. The colour palette is slightly an odd choice. Maybe there is a reference picture out there that I've not seen. With Patsy, I tend to think richer, warmer, jewel tones, or just stark white. Also the wig, she looks like Lily Savage, and I can't unsee it. I don't know if that's a good thing, I don't know if it's a bad thing, but she does look like Lily Savage, which really did make me laugh. I appreciate the attempt to bring the purple through to the other aspects of the outfit. I would say it is airing on slightly matchy-matchy, with like the bottom of the shoes being purple, the nails, she's like cut out these circles and like covered them with like a purple fabric. Her lipstick is purple. I don't think it needs to be quite so matchy-matchy. I'll say it's not the most impressive outfit in the world, especially not from Selexa. She does look gorgeous, and what I appreciate more than anything is I can really feel a different side of Selexa. I really, really enjoy that. And it makes me feel more sort of refreshed with what I can expect to see with her from the future. And I think that's a very good thing. And Selexa is wearing Christopher Niari. So next up we have Tayris, and Tayris is wearing Danny Does Drag and Nutty Threads. And Tayris has also decided to reference Bubble. And you know, this reference I didn't know when she came out. So I messaged Tayris, and she was very lovely, and she sent over the image she was referencing. And she sort of described how there aren't any black characters in AbFab, and how she really wanted to sort of tie her drag in with the aesthetic of the show. So much made sense, and I'm so glad I asked. I think she has very successfully taken the reference and applied it to her drag without losing the reference and without losing her drag. I really love the hair. It harkens back to the reference picture, but also it feels like her. It feels like a style she would wear naturally. I am a sucker for a pastel tone, so I really love the color of this outfit. I love the shape of it. I love the ties. I love the way it's been laced. I would maybe have chosen a fabric that was slightly less shiny on camera. It does unfortunately read just slightly cheap, and I'm sure it isn't a cheap fabric, so maybe a slightly matte fabric would have improved the luxness of it. The shoe is just slightly the wrong shade of purple. When I went away to Drag Race, I spray painted all my shoes so they matched. So next time, Tayris, spray paint your shoes. But I really enjoy it, and I really love it for her. It feels like a very different look for her, and I really enjoy seeing that. I will say this is the 4th week we've sort of got like a bodysuit, mini dress, sort of shorter silhouette from Tayris. I do think a lot of her outfits read performance wear, which isn't a bad thing, but I just think the opportunity you get on the runway of Drag Race is to wear an outfit that you wouldn't usually get to wear and sort of experiment with your drag in a way that you might not normally get to do. I just hope maybe next week we can see something slightly different as far as silhouette is concerned, but I really enjoy it. I think it's a very strong look for Tayris. So next up we have Sally TM, and Sally is wearing Lizzie Biscuits. Sally is wearing an outfit by Eddie, and again, I didn't know this reference. And when she said it was inspired by a jumper, my first thought was, is that a bit of a cop-out because you've sort of taken the shapes that are on a jumper and applied it to an outfit? However, I did ask Sally for the reference pictures, she sent them over, and it's actually more than a jumper, it's sort of like a full outfit with these sort of rings sort of down the legs. And having seen the reference picture, it completely changed my thought on this outfit, because now I really do see it as interpretation of the brief that says Sally but still references the original. It's very obviously a Schiaparelli reference, and I do enjoy that reference. It feels very Sally. There are a few things as far as maybe construction that I would do different. The dress I feel could fit her slightly better. Also the length is slightly too short. And just on this orange circle around her face, the circle does seem a little bit uneven. Also, she's wearing this pearl necklace, but it's sort of poking out from under the collar. I just don't think that necklace needs to be there at all. She's got this black spit curl coming out from under the headpiece. Since she is referencing Eddie, I would have loved for that curl to have been ginger. I think since it's such an out there take on the theme, I think it would have been a nice tie back to the original character. Oh, and she's done one eye orange, one eye pink. Do not like that. Just go for one colour. I would have just gone for pink, I think. But overall, I really enjoy it. I think it's really fun. I think it's really interesting. It's really Sally. And now having seen the original reference, I see how this is the intersection between her and AbFab. And I love that. So again, another gorgeous job by Sally TM. So next up we have Bonnie and Clyde, and this is a reference I completely forgot about, and I'm so glad that she reminded me of. Bonnie is wearing an outfit by Simon Preen. Simon Preen has made outfits for me in the past, he is fabulous, and she is doing Patsy. It's Patsy where there was like this flashback to her like being a model in like the 60s, and this is a very on the nose like recreation of the outfit, which for Bonnie I think I really enjoy. I love first of all how the dress has been constructed. I could tell all of those circles have been cut out as individual panels. It's sort of Simon Preen's specialty, and it has been done beautifully. There's not a wrinkle, there's not a pull, there's nothing. I don't know how they do it. It is fab. I liked obviously the red bodysuit underneath. There's of course like a very silly campy mod fashion mix. I do think in the original the dress was slightly longer. I would have liked it just slightly longer. Some of the proportions are slightly funny on her. I think I would have liked for her to drag up the headpiece. It just feels a bit flat and stuck to her head compared to everything else. So I think if that had been made into a bigger hat and had like just been amped up a little bit, it would have really been nice for like the proportions of the outfit. I also noticed a small construction thing. When she raised her arms, you could sort of see the sleeve pulling at the dress. Maybe it should have been like a dress over a bodysuit just to avoid that. But overall, I really enjoyed it. It's a really great Patsy reference. It's almost like an iconic reference that you wouldn't even think about. And it really showed Bonnie's reference point and how Bonnie thinks. And it really made me think, okay, Bonnie is a queen with the references and she knows what she's talking about. So I enjoyed how she did this here. I would just want to tweak one or two of the proportions in the outfit, but aside from that, I think she looks very, very fab. And yeah, the colour combination, all of it, gorgeous. Well done, Bonnie, yet again. So next up we have Chai Tea Grande, and Chai is wearing an outfit by Trashy Planet, and I thought this was a very smart way to go. So for those who don't know, in AbFab, Patsy is obsessed with the jewellery brand LeFaye, darling, she loves it. It's mentioned pretty much every episode. So I like that Chai was the only one to not specifically reference a character, but to reference something involving the storyline of the show. I thought that was very smart. I loved when she came out in the bag. The bag said LeChai on it, which was so genius. I love that. It was such a smart way to think. I think she even like customized the logo so that it was LC like her name, which I thought was brilliant. I thought the way that it was printed, the sheen over the top was slightly too reflective with all the stage lights. So it just made the bag look slightly cheaper than it could have been, but that's a small thing. And I loved the idea of her coming out as the jewellery. On the bra and pants underneath, I like the use of the pearls, I like the colour combination, and I like that it's all sat against a black fabric, because that really makes everything pop. I do wish she'd maybe gone for a more interesting shape underneath, and if she is going to be the piece of jewellery, I think there are so many more fun ways she could have made the outfit reflect either a ring and it's got a big crystal at the front and then the band of the ring sort of wraps around her body, or she's a necklace and it sort of drapes down her in some sort of chic sheer dress. Those are just a couple of ideas. But yeah, I just think there are a few little ways this could have been really elevated. I'm not a fan of this sort of cross necklace on the bit of string. Again, she's meant to be this piece of jewellery, so I would have loved for the necklace to have been either pearls or crystals or something. And also she's not wearing any bracelets, which again, Chai, your jewellery, wear some jewellery. But overall, I love it. I thought it was very smart. It was different from everyone else. And just as a silhouette, when she came out, it was really interesting. And again, a silhouette we've not seen from her, but we haven't seen in general. It was very fresh, interesting, and different. I just would have liked to turn the elevation up slightly. But aside from that, I think it was a very strong look. And yeah, very good job, Chai. So next up, we have Naum Bella. And Naum Bella is wearing, and I quote, a 12 to 13-year-old schoolgirl's uniform and a blouse. That is so fierce that a lot of people, if they'd done that, they would have just not commented. I love that she let us know. I've got to say, I'm very impressed by the overall appearance for what it is. Naum is the only one that went for Safi, and so that already makes her stand out. I really do love the pinafore, and I love how she's rhinestoned it. This isn't too following the pattern. It sort of has areas where it's really rhinestoned and areas where it sort of fades out, and I love that. I think it makes for a very interesting piece. I did notice with the rhinestoning when she was writing her mirror message and she sort of leant forward that you could see the seam on her shoulder where she hadn't rhinestoned the back of the outfit, which is a slight pet peeve for me. I wish she had rhinestoned it all the way around, but I will forgive it. I like that she came out with the book and was holding it. I do wish she had dropped it a little bit so we could get more of a sense of the outfit. I love the sleeves. I love the shape of them. I thought that was a really great overall silhouette. I do wish she didn't wear these tights. I appreciate the idea of like a clashing pattern, but they're just the wrong shade. And since everything is so like monochromatic purple with a bit of grey, this sort of deeper purple with this different print that then go into these like leg warmer sort of socks, that's just a bit of a disconnect for me. I just wish if they had been purple tights all the way down into these white socks, I think that would have been more chic. I just feel sorry for the 12 to 13-year-old girl who is running around somewhere without her school uniform. But apart from that, I think it was well used. I think a lot of people would avoid Saffron because she's probably the hardest person to sort of drag up and to sort of translate to that drag sensibility, but I think Naum has done it very successfully. It's not my favorite, it's not the most elevated, it's not the most exciting, but it is a perfectly well put together and serviceable runway look for this category. And finally to the runway, we have Katherine Feelings. Now I want to say this first of all. Do you recognise this wig? If you watched last week's episode, you should recognise this wig. This is my wig. I lent this to Katherine before she went to Drag Race. Just gave her a bunch of stuff, and this made it onto the runway. I do wish, having watched the episode, she'd brushed it like I did, but that's besides the point. Actually, this wig I got from Victoria Scone, who gave it to me, who then gave it to Katherine. So this has graced the heads of 3 Welsh Drag Race queens. How gorgeous is that? Anyway, onto the look. So Katherine is wearing an outfit by Bald Eagle Design, who's based in Brighton, I believe. And Katherine has gone for Eddie. And looking at the reference image, the thing with Eddie is that there's a lot of layering and fabrics and patterns and colours, but there's like a boho chicness to it. It looks thrown together, but it's actually like pieced together. And I've got to say, I think this recreation of it is very successful. I think Katherine has gone for the right fabrics, and not only the right fabrics, she's gone for the right proportion on the prints. So look at the polka dots on the trouser. A lot of the time, people will do polka dots, but they'll be really small. And when you're working with drag proportions, you not only have to scale up the outfit proportions, you need to scale up the pattern as well. And head to toe, the patterns have been matched perfectly as far as size is concerned. I love that she's even got the inverted polka dot on the wrist. It just looks so silly, but it's so cool. I do wish the headband was slightly thinner or slightly further up. I think Katherine just probably didn't want to glue her lace down, knowing my sister. Also, Eddie's flares are bigger than these, so I wish she had bigger flares, and I also wish the flares went straight to the floor so we didn't even see the shoe. The trousers are just slightly short. Also, something Katherine's done, I think, to elevate the outfit. If you look very closely, I'll try and find a picture, but she has put a singular rhinestone in the middle of every black polka dot on her trousers. Wildly unnecessary. Wildly unnecessary. It doesn't add anything, it doesn't drag it up. If anything, you either go all the way with rhinestones or you don't bother. And I think these prints are strong enough and bold enough as they are that they don't need rhinestoning. But when I did notice that, it made me chuckle a bit because rhinestoning something is such a drag queen trope. But overall, I've got to say, I think this is one of Katherine's strongest runways to date. And I will even say it's one of the strongest runways of the week. I think it's just very bold and clear and apparent what she's doing and who she's going to be. And I think it is one of the ones that, without knowing the runway theme, I would have looked at and gone, ab fab. And it's also not an obvious reference, which I also appreciate. So yeah, I love it. Katherine brushed my wig. To be fair, when she gave it back to me, the lace was clean and it was perfectly brushed. So I don't know why she didn't do that on the show, but that is a sister if I've ever known one. So yes, what a gorgeous, lovely, strong look to end this ab fab runway on. Very well done, Katherine. Well, there we have it. We are at the end of yet another episode of Behind the Scenes. And, you know, when they said it was ab fab, I was slightly concerned. That is not a lot of these girls' aesthetics. So I'm very pleasantly surprised, not only by the outfits themselves, but by the variety of references, both specific to the characters, but also referential to the world of ab fab. Pretty strong as far as a Night of 1,000 Runways is concerned. I'll say this now, I usually hate this runway category. To me, as a drag queen, it can feel a little bit confined. You know, I want to go and do crazy things, not this specific reference. But I really enjoyed it this week. Honestly, this week I feel like I've been on Project Runway. Enough said about that. Anyway, thank you again for joining me for yet another gorgeous episode of Behind the Scenes. I'm so glad you're all enjoying it because I really enjoy making them. Do not forget to like this video, to comment on this video, and to go to my channel and give me a little subscribe. It really does help me out. It really does help spread the word, and it shows me that you're enjoying it. Because if it gets to the point where you stop enjoying it, I might stop doing it. However, that's unlikely because I do like sitting in this room talking to myself. Anyway, that's enough from me. I have been Marmalade. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you here, same time, same place, next week for episode 5. But until then, KK, bye!